Welcome, and I want to invite you to join along with me today for an art journaling page. I'm doing it in my little art journal today, and I want to talk about this topic first, and then I'll flip the camera so that you can see my art journal. The other day in my devotions, it was all about how focusing on the character traits of God when we're going through something really tough is incredibly helpful to our psyche. It helps us to focus on who God is and how powerful He is and how helpful He is and how good He is and loving He is, etc., instead of focusing on the problem. And I don't know if you know this, but I've been a marriage and family therapist for many years, over 20 years, licensed in the state of California. And that is one thing that I know to be true is when you can teach your mind to focus on that which is good, positive, helpful, supportive, of good report, just like the Apostle Paul teaches, you will be able to conquer depressing thoughts, anxious thoughts, and your mood will rise and your anxiety and depression levels will go down. So this is certainly not meant to be clinical advice by any stretch of the imagination. This is for teaching purposes only. But art journaling about the graciousness and merciful character traits of God is what we'll be focusing on today. So I have a verse for you, Psalm 145:8. The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. And I am probably going to focus in on the part of the first part of the verse that just says the Lord is gracious and compassionate. So again, I'm going to do it in my little journal today, just so that it doesn't take me so long. Sometimes filling up one of those big 9 by 12 pages in my mixed media book can just take a long time. So I'm going to show you, to keep this little fellow open, I'm going to take my little clips and clip that side open. I don't know if I'll need to clip the other side open or not, but I'll get this one on here anyway, just to be safe. Okay, now bear with me while I move the camera. Okay, so let's pop it out of here. Let's flip it around. Okay, so now you can see the little art journal, and I'm going to do something that's going to kind of spill over onto both pages. I kind of thought this out a little bit in advance so that when I went live, I would know what I'm doing. But for you there at home, when you do this, just take that verse. The Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. And just let that kind of sink in to your awareness. And as you really focus on those words, the fact that the Lord is gracious, think about what colors come to mind, what imagery comes to mind when you think about the Lord's graciousness and His merciful character trait as well. This version of the Bible had the word compassionate, but other versions have the word merciful there. So pick either one. Compassionate and merciful are pretty similar. And just let that word kind of bring up colors. Like when you know the Lord is compassionate and merciful with you, what colors come to mind for you? And so I already thought this through, took some time to sit with it, and I've come up with kind of some colors that I have in mind. I'm going to use my craft paints today, but you can use your chalk pastels, your paint, your watercolors. You can use whatever you have on hand to do an art journaling page. So I'm going to go ahead and put this real light blue on my plate. This is called Summer Sky, because in my mind, I have kind of some imagery of some beautifully colored flowers against a really pretty light blue sky. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint both pages with this beautiful color. And while I'm using this pretty sky blue, I think part of why I chose this color is because to me, when I think of God's graciousness and his mercy or his compassion, I always go to creation. Like that is like my number one go-to when I think about the character traits of God. And I think that is because you can see so much of his love that he is declaring for us in his beautiful creation. Taking my walk this morning, I was seeing all the trees that are blooming. We have some beautiful white blooming flowers on trees, and we have beautiful magenta trees, and we have, I think they're called crocuses that are blooming, and daffodils, kind of some of the bulb flowers that are coming up right now. And it just, the beauty of the color, just the different colors that God gives to us in his creation, just the colors alone speak to me about his mercy and his love. And I instantly relax when I feel, I'm going to go ahead and paint that real quick. I don't even think I'll need that clip anymore. So I'm just going to leave that clip off. So that's my background. So I'm thinking through the other day, okay, what other colors come to mind? Let me move this up. I want to let that dry just a little bit. So hopefully you can see both. I'm going to stand up and look down and see. Yes, and just to remind you all, my laptop would not pull up the live for me today, so I can't see comments at all, but I will go back later and look at every single comment and reply. So here, I don't have to shake this. Here's a color that I just bought called Opera Rose, and I wanted to try this out. I'm going to put just a little bit. That is so beautifully bright. So I'm going to get some other colors on my plate because kind of where my thoughts went was to flowers. And like I said, I saw all those blooms on my walk this morning, these beautiful blossoms. And I thought, isn't that just the most merciful, compassionate thing to give us to look at in nature is flowers. They are each so unique and different colors, different shapes, different heights. Like just everything about flowers they're each so unique that they just really speak to me about God's merciful and gracious nature. So I'm putting a little bit of yellow on here. I have craft paints. I have peony pink. I have this coral color, and I put on this, I forget which one I put on the plate. I have Laguna and Caribbean both. And then I have some greens. I'm gonna put a little bit of Kelly green on my plate just for some, if I wanna do some leaves. And we're just gonna kind of see what happens. So I'm gonna be really relaxed about these flowers, meaning I am not going to make them realistic. I just want to convey that idea of God's mercy and grace. So even though I can't see comments, I would love to know from you all what images, what colors come to mind for you when you think about the mercy and the graciousness of our Lord. So go ahead and put them in the comments and I'll see them later. So I'm just getting, I kind of want to have a flower on that goes on both pages. Like I said, I kind of want to have it spill onto this page a little bit. And so I'm going to make that one just a little bit bigger. And then I'm gonna make one that's a little smaller. And like I said, my idea is just to do some very abstract flowers today, just very, very loose. And the point to art journaling is not to make something gallery worthy. It is for you to express something so that later when you go back and you look through your art journal, it'll kind of conjure up those feelings and the ideas behind them. Okay, now while I've got this out, I'm gonna dip into my coral too, and I'm just gonna let the two colors from my brush mix, and then I'm gonna take this coral color and I'm just gonna do like a few little closed buds as well. And I'm just kind of imagining that maybe this is the side of a rose. I don't know what it is. Let's just do a closed bud there, a little closed bud here, and I don't want it to be super big. I don't want it to take away from those. And so now I'm just gonna do even smaller little ones over here. Just kind of plop them in. I'm just kind of plopping them in here. Okay, and then let me know too if you have a favorite flower. I want a bud to kind of come down, like it's pointing down. Okay, so I've just kind of laid down some colors. I think I'll go in next and do some stems while I'm letting those dry just a little bit. So I'm going to go into my Kelly green and just get some little curved stems. I don't want this to be, let's put a stem here. Let's put a stem here. So this stem's kind of going up and around from here. And I'm just gonna plop in some leaves while I'm at it, because I'll probably add some different greens to those later. Just getting the first layer of Kelly green on here. All right, now let's see. I kind of almost want these to be connected, even though that might not be how it would be in real life. That's what I want in my journal today. Just kind of giving these curved little wispy green things. And then let's throw in some stems on these cute little buds here. And again, I'm trying to just be relaxed and not worrying about making it perfect. Just trying to meditate and dwell on the graciousness of God. So while I am doing this, I have definitely noticed for myself that when I'm in the midst of like a really horrible trial, the most recent one that I went through was with my husband when he was on a ventilator for over a month, and then had triple bypass heart surgery, and then had gallbladder attack and surgery, and he just kept having things in his body go wrong. And we were pretty sure we were going to lose him. But God had different plans. God provided a miracle for Andy. But while I was in the hospital for several months, for 2 or 3 months with him every day, visiting the hospital, trying to make sure he was getting the care that was going to be good for him, I, of course, struggled a lot with just worry, not knowing what I was going to do if he passed away. I struggled with sadness. I struggled with just exhaustion. There was just a lot going on emotionally. And I remember that I had heard a pastor somewhere along the line say, if you don't know what to do when you're in a trial and you're really struggling, just start to praise God. So I did. I literally just started praising God. I listened to worship music in Andy's hospital room. I played it over him. And it was my saving grace. It saved my sanity. And later, when I kind of had time to look back and reflect on it, it really struck me that what was helping me feel so much better was the fact that I was focusing on God and not on Andy's latest physical nightmare. That it seemed like every day I'd come to the hospital, the doctors would have an even more horrible prognosis. So what I did is I began to write a series. So I wrote a series of articles on the character traits of God. And that made such an impact on me. The fact that I was writing about it meant, of course, that I had to research it. And let me tell you, it's incredible when you research something and then write on it, because it sticks with you. There's something about doing the research and then writing about it that just, it works. It just sticks with you. And so I have that whole series of articles available on my blog. They are not in any particular order, and they might be kind of far back because that was a while ago when I did that series. But they are there if you're interested in reading my study on the character traits of God. So as you can see, I'm kind of just going in and plopping in some, and I'm going to go faster. I'm being too precious and trying to be all perfect, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to really kind of smush some lighter shades around in a few spots. Let's do this one. And then I really want to try that opera pink that I have on my plate. So I'm going to smush around this lighter color on a few of these. Okay, let's go in and I'm going to grab that opera pink. Look at that. Look at how beautiful and bright that is. Oops, oh no. I had Kelly green over there. All right, let's rinse the old brush. Let's try again. Okay, this time I'm just gonna stick to the side of the plate that doesn't have anything on it that's wet. Okay, and now let's just plop in that opera pink and see. It just sparks it up. Just gives it a really bright little kick. Okay, let's get some of that opera pink in a few spots on these. And over here, just smushing it in there. Okay. There. And then I'm gonna come back in, I'm gonna grab just a little bit of white and just put a few little highlights in a few spots. That one got to be a little bit much. I'm just smushing it in here and there. Anyway, back to kind of what I was talking about. That happened the other day too. I was kind of realizing that I was struggling with some thoughts that were negative. And I went ahead and, as I was reading Psalm 145, so really go and read Psalm 145. I really found myself able to focus on God's character traits. And that just instantly, I felt my body relax and my soul kind of perked up, and I thought, okay, I cannot forget this lesson of focusing on God's character traits. So, all that to say, I really encourage you, and you know, reading articles about God's character traits. So the articles that I did, I have lots and lots of verses that I cite that talk about the particular character trait that I was dealing with in each article. And just the act of reading through all those verses was enough to really help it sink in. So I almost would say, rather than just read an article about it, go in for yourself and go into Google, because this is what I did, and just type into Google Bible verses about God's mercy, or Bible verses about God's omnipotence or God's omniscience, whatever character trait you want to focus on. And Google will have several articles come up, not articles, websites come up that will show you a ton of different Bible verses where those words are mentioned. And then if you go and you read through them and you find the verses that really speak to you, it's going to stick with you because you've done your own research. And like the Apostle Paul says, he said that the Bereans were more, I don't remember the adjective he used, but he was commending the Bereans because they listened to what Paul said about the scriptures, but then they went and studied it for themselves. So be a good Berean. Study the scriptures for yourself. Don't just take a pastor's word for it. Don't take my word for it. Go do it yourself, and it will really stick. Okay, so you can see I've got little splashes of yellow, and that is also just kind of representing God's mercy and his graciousness, and this just speaks sunshine to me, this golden yellow color. So, okay, now I think I'm gonna grab this limeade, and I just want to touch a couple of the leaves with this limeade. So let's grab, I'm trying to keep this brush just to using one brush today, but we'll see. So I'm just going to kind of highlight in a few of these leaves with this limeade. And I'm definitely noticing a difference. I have been painting with professional grade paints now for, I don't know, a couple years. And I'm definitely noticing how thin these paints are, these craft paints, and how when you use a nice thick professional grade paint, it doesn't take as many layers to cover the paper, the white of the paper. Okay, I kind of want to do some dots, so I'm just gonna throw in some of these limeade colored green dots. I'm gonna sprinkle them around. And let's do some here. Let's throw some in over here. And maybe some here. And I think, oh, I did get that with limeade already. Let's throw a little limeade on this. Okay, I've touched each one with limeade. Now I want to go in and I want to grab some more of that opera pink. So it's so beautifully bright. Okay, and then I am going to take this tip of my brush and I'm going to sprinkle in some little dots of opera pink as well. And I'm going to do more than 3 this time. Just kind of random, whatever shows up. So let some of them go over the stems. Just to spark it up. Little bit more spark. I'm gonna let it go over the yellow there. Let's dot some bigger ones here. And I think we need some here. Okay, so I've just sprinkled in some opera pink, and I think what I'm gonna do when this dries, so I'm gonna let this dry completely. And I'm gonna write on the yellow right here. I'm gonna write, the Lord is gracious, and I'm gonna use the word merciful. The Lord is gracious and merciful. Or maybe I'll say, the Lord is gracious, maybe I'll write it kind of big, and merciful. We'll see. But anyway, you get the idea. I'm gonna let this dry and come back and write those words on. And sometimes I like to use like copper or gold. In this case, yeah, I don't know if it'll be copper or gold. I might even use white. That might stand out really beautifully. I've got this Sharpie paint pen that's white that might actually look really good against that yellow. So we'll see what happens when it dries. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this. I'm gonna pull this phone down. Whoops, okay, let's see here. Now it wants me to rotate my phone. There we go. Okay. Thank you for watching, even though I couldn't see comments. And I hope that you all have a very blessed day. And here it is, before I write the words in. And I would love to see what you come up with in terms of your journaling page. If you want to take a picture of it and put it in either below this live or just put it in the group anywhere. We will love to see what you've done for your art journaling page. Okay, have a very blessed day. Friday, I'll be back with an acrylic experience. I'm not sure exactly how that's gonna look just yet. I'm working on it. So I'll see you Friday back to 2 o'clock p.m. back to the regular time. All right, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.